Go back into that scratch layer. Base color overlay. We want them to show a little bit. Dial that scratch back a little bit. Sometimes it is nice just to hand paint stuff. Gonna go ahead and try to add some more. Give it a little bit of height. -0.01. That might be maybe a little too much, but we'll see down the line. Yeah, half that. That looks pretty good. You notice how it's less rough than the base material of that coated metal too. Raw metal is usually a bit wetter looking. Break out the stencil again. Just using the UVs. That looks a little intense. Yeah, if you want those stencils, go to Discord. I'll look it up now. What's it called? Yeah, it's a nice Discord they have. I think it's pretty new, so. It's called Weapon Group. Yeah, if you go into resources, they have all sorts of cool stuff, stencils and whatnot. Basically, just trying to get as many angles as I can. Trying to find cool ideas. I might have to make a new layer here, actually, but. Just painting it in. Yeah, this looks a little too strong, but yeah, I'm trying to find just a nice stencil to put in there. Not sure if that's gonna work though. And you can see that cut off where the UI shaped UV space, just because you'll never see that part. Had aware, turn roughness, keep it on. Yeah, so we want it to be a little bit in the black, color black. We don't want white, darker, wetter. That's what we want. I'm just trying various details here, different stencils, trying to get realistic looking markings. Sometimes it can be difficult to find the stencil that you want. Try a different one. And yeah, if this doesn't work, then I think what I end up doing is I put a gradient, a mask gradient. So we'll see that in a second here, but yeah, maybe the reason why this isn't working is because I'm looking for a gradient just to smooth. It doesn't have to be super unique. It's just more of a big color change. That's all I'm looking for. So where we're going to try a little bit of height. Don't think I'm happy with that. Okay. Add a new layer. Scratches. So we're on the plastic now. We're gonna add some nice scratch layers here. We want it to be rough. Use a stencil. I'm using 7 different stencils, so it's not an issue if you want to use your own stencils. I know you don't have my exact ones, but I told you where to get them if you want to use them. Looks good. Trying to get the right angle here. I just try a little bit of everything here. Just keep rolling through the stencils. Now I'm just adding them areas I think there could be contact. I'm taking my sweet time, it's pretty simple though. Scratches. Just lining it up. Paint it out. Repeat. That's my main method for texturing. Add in those cool details. Well, I guess while I do this, yeah, you can just focus on finding stencils that work for you. I think these are stencils for like looks like they're old guns that have a lot of wear and they're all raw metal. Like this is a M9 and this is some piece of like an like a like an AK. But they're super good. Yeah, some nice. That's good. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty straightforward what I'm doing. I have a scratch layer and I'm just using stencils. This is gonna be pretty much completely manual. Looks like I added a sharpen. Unless and if you didn't see that, it's set to pass through, not overlay, not normal pass through, and it's set to 0.24 on the very top, so it just makes everything else pop. You just add details and build off of them. One little detail turns into another. Yeah, I'm going on a spree here, so it's just that scratch mask stencils get every place you can with the plastic. Take your time. That's it. I guess while I do that, I can talk about like this is could be a great portfolio piece for somebody that wants to get into the game industry. Uh, One thing I would maybe try to, I know me telling you this now kind of defeats the purpose, but because you're so far in already, but it's a good piece to show that you know how to texture. It shows good techniques that I learned from people that are a lot better than me. Um, so people will be, an employer will be happy to know, hey, this person knows how to texture. It's one of the most important things, I'd say. Knowing how to texture. I think I covered it earlier in this tutorial, but if you can texture, that's the biggest thing because it's real easy to teach somebody how to, optimize like a low poly mesh or something. It's real easy. But texturing, maybe requires a bit more of like a sense. I'm hesitant to say a natural sense, but I mean, if you have a natural sense for it, it's a lot easier to improve. So, and you can, of course, build a sense. What I mean by that is, just good observation, good uh, sense of how many scratches, how much scratch, where it should go, that type of thing. Adding a new layer here, dirt, inverted it. Alright, I'm using triplanar, not invert. Just messing with the setting. Dirt, general. This is going to be our first layer of dirt that we put on our plastic. We're going to put it in its own folder called dirt. Roughness way up. Height, color, dirt color, roughly. We'll change it throughout. It's kind of puke color right now. We want maybe a little bit less saturated. Something like that. But dirt Gen 1. Okay. Keep it at normal. Add a fill, subtract. And I'm just trying to break up this lininess I've been saying. My boss always says he calls it lininess. It looks liney. Just break it up. Make it look more natural. Throw a subtract concrete on it. Maybe do a couple, but tiled it up to 2. Play with balance, contrast. Call it a day. Throw all those in there. See what I do here. Add another one. Seed. Playing with the color here. We're going to take away a little bit of color. It was pretty strong. Our roughness is really strong. We're going to go into roughness. Take it down a little bit. Something like that, yeah. We're gonna make a whole new one. New layer. Seed the dirt. We're gonna do something a little different. Dirt is gonna be the multiplier now. And put a fill under it, set to normal. And we're gonna throw in a dirt 3. So we're gonna make actual specs here. Contrast up, balance down, tiling up. Somewhere in the 20s you want your balance to be. It's not showing up yet because our... Yeah, this. Gotta fix this. There it is. This is my favorite part, adding these specs. Still incorporates some of those subtracts. Could break it up pretty well. It's okay if you leave them out though. Or balance up a bit more. Spec 1. Duplicate spec 2. 21. 2. Spec 2. Seed the dirt. Seed that dirt. Change the scale a little bit. Change the color. Not all dirt is the same color. Change the hue. It's just a little different color, that's all. Seed that. Seed this one too. These subtracts. So it's a completely different layer. Just unique to, yeah, the new layer. Everything's different. Same concept though. Now we're going to look at it in Marmoset, see how bad it is, and fix it. Alright, what are we looking at here? What we got? Yeah, one of my biggest, my favorite things to do to get ideas and inspiration for projects is to go on ArtStation. Do this. This is the ultimate way. Go find a piece of artwork you like. Go to that person's profile page. From there, go to their likes. It's like a web. When you're in that person's likes, find something you like there. And then keep going. And you find like infinite just artwork that appears. That there, that's a nice detail. This looks a little bit unnatural, but I could see how it gets there. It's great. Going back to the reference. That's some dirt in there. Just trying to add the dirt in areas to where it is in real life, which is the crevices mainly, so. Change our lighting a little. Yeah, it still looks very bland. I'll add some bubbles at some point. Dirt is helping break it up a little bit. Trigger looks really black. Same with the safety. And then inside the grip is dirt. You gotta paint out. Yeah. Yeah, that dirt. Because it's so low resolution UV, when you put the dirt specks, they're just huge because they're so low res. And it just looks awful. Like it immediately draws your eye away from anything that was supposed to be cool. I think I'm looking at the render off screen right now. There it is. Hey, it looks less liney. You could say that at least. Looks less liney. That's for sure. But yeah. Yeah, we got a little bit of a UV cut off there for our dirt. Go fix that. And yeah. Yeah, I copied my dirt folder to set 2, which is where the metal and the rails and all the stuff is. So, gotta just adjust it, that's all. It's not the same. Roughness. It's very strong. So if we put it more metallic to dirt, it doesn't become metal, it just becomes less strong dirt. That's basically it. So, specs. Specs are pretty easy to adjust. Duplicate it again. Wow, I'm a crazy person. Seed. Same type of thing. Skip this. You already know what I'm gonna do. I have a hair alpha texture. Black and white. What do you even call that, alpha? You call it an alpha, right? I mean, it's just, oh, a grayscale, great. It's like a grayscale thing. It's just a map. It's like an alpha map, yeah. Black and white, but it's hairs, so. See, it's just not exact dirt. It's not the exact same as the dirt specs map. It's more hairy. Scale that up or down. Yeah, so if you got something like this, just fill it in. I don't know where I got mine. My friend smuggled it to me somehow. That is too much. It is indeed too much dirt. Here, yeah. Properly name it. Yeah, I guess another thing I can dive into while you pause and follow this tutorial along is important things to include in your portfolio. Now, I would say the main thing is it depends what you want to do. For example, if you want to be a weapon artist, which may be the case, or you're a other disciplined artist coming to this tutorial because you want to learn how to make a weapon, etc. Welcome. But if you are trying to break into the industry and you're wanting to be a weapon artist, yes, you should make weapons. You should make one really good one. One really good weapon is better than two shat weapons, I would say. I'd say most people you ask would say the same thing, because it shows what your full potential is. You know, if you go 85% on two guns, 85% effort, I mean, on two guns versus 110%, you lose sleep trying to make one gun. But you have one gun, but it's just amazing. That's gonna get you a lot further, and it's gonna get you a lot of interviews too. Yes. Another thing is if you can show your technical ability, because if you have experience, for example, there's not a huge need for, showing you can do low poly, especially if you have more than like 2-3 years of experience. People know you can do low poly. You've optimized stuff. That's what your job is, But if you're new, you're a fresh graduate, you're self-taught, trying to get into the industry, yeah, people want to know, okay, is this person just, texturing wise, they're really good, but they don't know what a normal map is, or like they don't know how to, do it proper, try count, like their topology looks disgusting, etc. There's a slew of things that I guess I could go through them. Like so if they see just your picturing, they're gonna want to look at, okay, can you follow a concept? Can you follow, real world specs? How accurately can you scale things? That's at the start. Uh, how well, what kind of pipeline you use? Like, are you blocking stuff out or are you using the latest stuff? Like, these days, people usually they use whatever package, Blender, Maya, Max, whatever, Modo for their blockout. You might go to ZBrush for your high poly or do sub D, high poly, etc. That kind of thing. Go into Marmoset for bakes or Substance Painter. People might still do for bake. UVs. People use Rhizome like I did in this tutorial. People use, various add-ons for their 3D modeling package that has great UV tools like Blender. UV Master is good for Maya. I have a friend that does that. But yeah, there's a bunch of different areas there. Just to touch on this, I'm using directional. I'm trying to get some directional lining here. So this is where having straight UVs comes in handy because you can do stuff like this. Give it a little height, little roughness, little color, little height. That's it to start. Negative 0.0025 down. You're not seeing much, so I'm going to make it a little bigger. 5. Barely seeing it. It is there though. Add a little roughness. Overlay the roughness. Take away a little bit, add some. Base color, add a little bit. Overlay so it's not so strong. Put it up or down, down. Something like that. Subtle details. Looks a little too scaled up, but aside from that. So anyway, yeah, so you want to continue to show your work. The perfect portfolio piece doesn't exist, but something close to it would be, 100% effort put into it. You have one, in it you show your wireframe, which means that will show how well you've optimized your mesh. And when you optimize it, you want to focus on 1P details. So when your weapon is held by a character in a game, which is the job you want to get, if I'm correct, it is held by a person, and those details that the player sees have to be the most detailed. By detailed, I mean not just texturing, it has to have cool scratches on it. That is important. You need hero scratches, etc. I'm talking more like mesh density. You want it to be realistic in a lot of cases. And you want it to not look last gen, low poly. You want it to be, looking high poly, as if you baked the high poly. Or as if you textured the high poly. So add more edge loops in areas where you're going to see it a lot. So, and you can display that with like a 1P render. So people can zoom in and see, hey, this guy actually knows this person actually knows what they're doing. Wow. So that's important. And then another thing would be, your UV sheets. You should post that as well. So you got your wireframe and then your UV maps. You generally want to do, depending on how big the gun is, you're going to do 1 4K map or 2 4K maps, depends, but yeah, and then if you have a muzzle, you throw that on a 2K map, 1K, whatever. And if you have a sight, put that on a 2K map. Make sure the glass is on a 512 on its own material and UV set. Scale it all the way up. Um, and yeah, the magazine, throw it on a 2K. Give it its own sheet with the bullets. Include the bullets. So that's basically, if you can show those UVs, that's like a pretty nice addition. It really shows the player, okay, this person actually knows how to, attack UVs, and they're not just good at texturing and fooling us all. They actually have some game dev skill here. That will get you interviews, definitely. Texturing will get you interviews. Showing your work like that will get you the job. I think that's a fair thing to say. But yeah. Another thing is, I know there's this, I don't know if you can do it in any other 3D package, but Marmoset Toolbag has like a Marmoset viewer file, and it's where you can basically, your mesh can just be like it's like baked lighting scenario, but I think it's baked. Might be, I don't know if it's real time, but you could basically just like view it, and you can adjust the light and see all the maps and stuff. You can view it in a 3D space, but it's super like intuitive and really helpful for people to see like every part of the map. So yeah. Here I am hand painting out a metal edgeware generator. Just because I don't like the symmetry that the mirror makes. So yeah. That's there. Head roughness. Yep, just making it a little bit less identical. The name of the game. But yeah, that's my advice. If you listen, great. Not okay. That's all good either way. Alright, we're gonna check arm set again. Are we though? Are we gonna do that? Or do we just fake ourselves out here? I'm adjusting the color here a little. Trying to look at it again in Marmoset. Scratches. Make our changes there, adjust it again. Just making slight alterations. I have a tendency to just do little changes and then go right to marmoset. It's just a weird thing I do because I'm a control freak and have to have immediate change, immediate satisfaction. I can't just work peacefully in Substance Painter for more than like 2 big detail changes before I have to go back into Painter and look at it. That's just funny. How's it looking? It's looking good. Skip it. Skip here if you want. It's okay. A lot of times for tutorials, if I do them, like I'll just skip through parts like this. Hopefully you do too, yeah. Because they're long. You paid good money for it. Just go through the parts that are important, you know. Texturing. You want to see what I do for the texturing, so. And hopefully by now you have a good idea of like the systems I use. I only use a few, you know. I don't have a ton. But I use them in just different ways. Canceled it. That's correct. Not correct. Correct. Yeah, it still looks pretty bland without all the normals on it, huh? We'll get those on soon enough. A lot of people do those first. I tend to do them like midway through just because I love making base materials. Yeah, it's like my favorite thing is to make the base material. I never make smart materials, even though it's probably smart to do so. For work, sometimes I do, but just for the sake of like saving time, of course, that's why you make smart materials. But for something like a personal project type of thing like this, I love just going from ground zero for some reason. That looks like I'm gonna change it. That looks okay. I might keep that, I might not, but that block, no reason for it to be brushed like that. Yeah, I varied from the concept on that one, but yeah, so at this point I'm just gonna continue to add damage to areas on the edges and whatnot. So we're gonna go to Photoshop. Hold move. What are we doing here? Okay, Photoshop. This is a quick tutorial on how I do Photoshop stuff. Camera raw filter. Convert it to a smart object first. And then, even though it's aces, do the contrast a little bit. Exposure if you want. I'm probably going to edit this terribly, but I'm by no means a professional in Photoshop. I can do it in this way. I'm talking like a photographer. This is basically photography rendering. Basically. Saturation. It's looking a little. It looks okay. It doesn't look. I mean, the textures are only giving me so much. You can only make it so good. Grain. I do play with all these sliders, though. That is important. Like a vignette, I'll do maybe a little. Vignette's cool. Detail, sharpen it. Yeah, anywhere from like 30 to like 50 or something. It varies every project, basically. It'll vary, but Yeah, I mean, this looks awful right now, but I just kind of wanted to add a fun thing. And I'll add lens correction, go into custom, change that to 50, plus 50. Second one, negative 50. Okay. And it adds like a cool chromatic aberration to especially the metal. See how it's like that purple and whatever tinge. Realism, baby. That's what I like. Yeah. Yeah, it still looks pretty basic still, but we're getting there. That's all that matters, right? We're getting there. We are 100% getting there. That's the important part. Yeah, I like editing stuff in Photoshop. Sometimes I'll only use marmoset or just do contrast, saturation, oh, excuse me, chromatic aberration as well. Yeah, I accidentally burped in a tutorial. I hope I can cut this out. Yeah. Okay. All right.